we tend to think, especially in our idiot culture, that people are transparent to themselves. I can define who I am. And that's simply not true because you're too complex to be transparent to yourself. And so you're going to have all sorts of delusional ideas, some negative and some too positive, about who you are and what you're capable of. And part of the way you modify that, so you come to a realistic appraisal of yourself, is by smacking yourself up against the world and succeeding or failing, but also by encountering other people who go, yeah, I don't think so, or who pat you on the back and say, good job.
Most schools in the United States get preschool, kindergarten right. Don't take it too seriously, have a lot of fun, explore the basics, be social. When you get into elementary school, it's like there's a switch that flips. It says, hey, college is coming, school's not fun, homework is here. And so I think what Wonder does is we're able to take that period of childhood and allow it to still be childhood. But there comes a time when you need to start to move up. And that's why we say, elementary, love learning, get along with other people. In middle school, work truly hard for at least 3 hours a day in flow. But, and then I'll add high school there too. Have a tested and vetted idea of what you'd like to do with your life. And so let me back integrate into that.
Yeah.
If you look at some people that we really respect in the world, like Da Vinci, you could look at Carnegie. These people started apprenticing at age 12 and 13. They were in the real world, getting real world experience at age 12 and 13. And Michelangelo. And so there's no reason that young people today aren't capable of the same thing.
You know, each person has something to offer in the world that's unique, and people are unique. I mean, we're all human, but each of us has something about him or her that's not ever going to be replicated, and that needs to be brought forward. And it's in everyone's interest to ensure that that's brought forward.
Yes.
And you start that by not demoralizing children, right? So there's a social interest here too that isn't merely limited to the individual.
I think parents maybe don't understand how deep that extent goes, and I'll just real quickly give this example. Imagine you have an 8-year-old that's just starting to write, and they're starting to write stories, and they bring you this little book that they've written.
Yeah.
The appropriate response to that is, wow.
Yeah.
Like, was this?
Here's what you did well.
Yes.
Here's what you could improve on. Boy,
Yes.
it's great you've done that.
Yes, the appropriate response is, wow, how hard was this for you to do? Looks like you worked really hard on this.
Yeah.
What we all have a tendency to do is say, hey, but did you notice you spelled this word wrong?
Right.
And there's nothing that's more demoralizing to an 8-year-old that's just accomplished something that they're proud of than to hear how they didn't do it right.
Yeah.
True education is to believe something so confidently, to know so confidently that's true, that you would dare to tell it to a child. I just thought, thinking about what's happening in the world today and how the new ideas are infiltrating quickly without being vetted.
Yeah.
Just going back to this idea of that you would know something so truthfully that you would dare to tell it to a child.
Right.
I think that's the appropriate guiding principle. And so when my first son was born, I had a call from an uncle, and he said to me, hey, congratulations, I was still at the hospital. And as a joke, he said, well, now you need to start thinking about schools. And I'd spent my entire life trying to get out of school. Basically just wanting to be done with education, get into the world, get into business or whatever it might be. And when he said that, it was one of those times that something strikes you. And that struck me, and I hadn't thought about it. And so that kicked off what was about a 5 or 6 year journey, which was traveling the country, visiting schools. I probably visited over 70 schools around the country and in other countries as well. And one of those was Acton Academy. And so that's how I got connected there. And
so what did you see when you went and saw all these schools?
So mostly it was this. There was varying flavors or the attempt to put a different screen over what was essentially the same model. Almost all of them were the same direct instruction model that we see. Teacher at the front of the classroom, lecturing to students, students in desks all day, and days broken up by periods. Now, some were working more in vocational skills. There's some that were helping young people, learn the trades and things like that. Great. Others were quite innovative. There's some, we worked with a school on the campus of MIT that was for middle school, high schoolers. That was quite innovative. They were very hands-on, very project-oriented, very project-driven. But what I noticed is that it was still something that was ultimately led by adults. And so that seemed to be the trend everywhere I went, no matter how innovative the school was.
So the basic model that you perceived was teacher in the front of the room, rows of desks, regimented periods,
Yep.
the children as absorbing knowledge, essentially. Knowledge is something delivered as factual.
Yep.
You saw a lot of variations on that, but no fundamental transformation.
Oh yeah, and variations on that, also variations on socioeconomic status within the school. That was something, because when many people think about school, they think public and private. What they don't understand is 99% of those schools operate the exact same way, just what you described. One teacher at the front of the classroom and students listening and trying to absorb, taking notes, and not being necessarily engaged in hands-on learning or taking ownership over their own.